They say blood is thicker than water. But what happens when that blood is used for a sacrifice? Tonight's story isn't just about a haunting at a temple. It starts with a mysterious drowning and ends in a locked room filled with the stench of death. We are following Daniel, a young nurse, who discovers that the monster hiding under the bed isn't a ghost. It's his own sister. Welcome to a nightmare of greed, black magic, and the terrifying price of a human soul. The temple bell tolled. Its deep resonance ripples through the eerie silence of the late afternoon. Yet it did nothing to dispel the chill gripping the hearts of the living. Inside the main hall of Monk Gabriel, amidst the haze of incense smoke, Daniel stood frozen. He was a nursing intern, a man of science, syringes, and medicines, someone who used to scoff at ghost stories. Yet now, standing before David's memorial portrait, Daniel felt his legs turn to lead and his heart constrict. In his chest, tears streamed down Daniel's face. It wasn't a soft whimper, but hot, uncontrollable tears pouring out unconsciously. He wasn't particularly close to David, so why did this pain feel so gut-wrenching? Perhaps these weren't Daniel's tears at all. It was a resonance, the weeping of a wronged soul boring his body to scream at the mortal world. Monk Gabriel sat cross-legged, fingering his prayer beads, his sorrowful eyes gazing into the void. He let out a soft sigh, heavy with gratitude and regret. Speaking of David, his deep, gravelly voice broke the silence. His was a life full of suffering from the moment he drew his first breath. Memory took the monk back to a stormy afternoon years ago by a cold riverbank. The wind howled through the reeds, and the waves slapping against the bridge pilings sounded like the wailing of water spirits. That day, Gabriel, along with Master Benedict and other Buddhists, was performing a release of life ceremony. Amidst the chanting, he heard a strange sound. Wawe weak, fragile cry, like a candle flickering in the wind, blended with the falling rain. If he hadn't listened closely, if an invisible thread of fate hadn't pulled him, he might have walked past. He followed the sound to the slippery foot of the bridge. There, stuck among drifting water hyacinths, was a soaked cardboard box. Inside lay a tiny life, turning purple from the cold, waving tiny fingers at the grey sky. Beside the baby was a hastily scrawled note, the ink smeared by rain and tears. I am the one who gave birth to this child, but my circumstances are cruel. I cannot raise him. I beg whoever passes by, please have mercy and save my son's life. Gabriel and Master Benedict brought the baby back to the temple. No one adopted him, no parents were found, so Master Benedict decided to keep him, naming him David. David grew up amidst the sound of sutras and the scent of sandalwood. The monk recalled David as a strong child who rarely cried, gentle and hard-working. As an adult, David left the monkhood to earn a living. Despite the chaotic world, he kept his good heart, occasionally sending money back to help Gabriel with temple expenses. And yet Monk Gabriel choked up, silence for the last couple of weeks, only for the news to return that he drowned a tragic, unjust death. Listening to the monk, a storm raged inside Daniel. These words felt like nails being hammered into his mind, creating a terrifying contradiction. In the monk's memory, David was an angel, but in the hate-filled stories of Samantha Daniel's sister, David was a monster. Samantha had screamed that David was a gambler, drowning in debt, abusive, forcing her to sell her kidney, forcing her to jump off a bridge. Two completely opposite images of the same man. Who was the liar? Why was David's spirit clinging to Daniel? Why did David appear every night to drag Samantha by the feet? Was the truth being hidden by a thick fog of deceit and dark magic? Carrying a heavy burden of suspicion, Daniel returned to the hospital. The afternoon shift felt longer than usual. The hospital corridor stretched out endlessly, with flickering white neon lights casting crooked shadows on the walls. The strong smell of antiseptic couldn't mask the creeping chill seeping into his bones. Daniel walked toward his sister Samantha's private room. As he got close, his steps faltered, crying, a whimpering, resentful weeping coming from the crack of the slightly ajar door. The sound was mournful enough to make his skin crawl, sounding like the wail of a soul from a deep grave rather than a living person. Daniel held his breath, tiptoeing closer. He placed his hand on the cold doorknob, mustered his courage, and pushed gently. Click. The door opened. The crying stopped instantly, as if strangled. The room was dead silent. Samantha lay on the bed, the blanket pulled up to her chest, eyes staring blankly at the white ceiling. Her face was emotionless, dry, no tears, no sign that she had just been wailing miserably. "Just now, were you talking to anyone?" Daniel asked, his voice cracking, goosebumps rising on his arms. Samantha slowly turned her head. Her movement was stiff, like a rusted wooden puppet. Her eyes looked at Daniel, hollow and deep. "I've been resting this whole time. I haven't talked to anyone." The cold answer sent a shiver down Daniel's spine. Did he mishear? Impossible. The crying was clear as day in his ears. If Samantha wasn't crying, then what had been crying in this room? Daniel's confusion turned to horror when he met Nurse Vanessa. She pulled Daniel into the duty room, looking serious, and secretly showed him her phone. "Watch this. This is what I recorded over the last few days." On the shaky screen, Daniel saw his sister. But this wasn't the weak, pitiable Samantha he knew. In the video, Samantha sat, huddled on the bed, disheveled hair covering half her face. Suddenly, she looked up, screaming into the void with a bitter, hate-filled tone. "Society puts too much pressure on me. I just want to go home and eat a decent meal. Why does Mum keep asking about work? Daniel is my brother. He has to take care of me. Just because I'm the oldest, does that mean I'm not allowed to fail? Am I that useless?" Samantha's face in the video twisted, stretching grotesquely. She smashed things, cursed their mother, cursed society, cursed herself. It was the embodiment of a shattered mind. Daniel was shocked to realize his sister had long been swallowed by the monsters named peer pressure and depression. Unemployment, social comparison, and jealousy had turned the once idealistic girl into a lunatic. But was it purely mental illness, or was a darker force pulling the strings? After his shift, Daniel returned home, his mind a tangled mess. The house, empty for so long, felt cold as a desolate tomb. Thick darkness swallowed every corner, devouring the faint light from the street lamps. Daniel sat down, trying to compose himself. Suddenly, Scrutch-Crat's sound broke the silence. Daniel held his breath. Scrutch-Cree-Creak-It was coming from Samantha's room. At first soft, then louder. It sounded like rats running, but heavier. It sounded like sharp fingernails clawing against wood, clawing against plastic bags, clawing frantically, desperately, and provocatively. Daniel remembered the days before, lying in bed hearing this sound. Back then, he thought it was just cats or rats. But now, in absolute silence, the sound was distinct and carried an indescribable supernatural weight. It felt like someone was in that room, deliberately making noise to call him in. He recalled Samantha's aggressive attitude in the past. She strictly forbade him from entering her room, always locking it carefully. "What are you snooping for? Get out. This is a girl's room. Don't you dare step in here." Her fierce eyes from back then returned to haunt him. Curiosity won over fear. Daniel grabbed a hammer and headed for the door. Bang. Crack. The lock shattered. The door swung open. A blast of icy air rushed out, hitting Daniel in the face, making him shudder. But worse was the smell. A pungent, nauseating stench assaulted his nose. It was the smell of old mold mixed with the metallic taints of rotting meat and stale incense. The room had only been empty for a month, but it looked abandoned for a decade. Daniel covered his nose, fighting the urge to vomit. He turned on his phone flashlight, the beam sweeping across the messy room. The scratching sound started again. This time, it came from the old wooden wardrobe in the corner. Daniel swallowed hard, his heart pounding in his chest. He approached, his trembling hand gripping the handle. Clear-hacked wardrobe door opened. Daniel froze. His blood ran cold. Before him, in the dark recess of the closet, was an occult altar. Yellow and red talismans with squiggly, demonic characters were plastered all over the inner walls. In the center was a pitch-black clay pot, filled with incense sticks that glowed red like blood. And most horrifying of all, pinned into the black soil was a small, distorted black effigy. The doll had no clear facial features, yet Daniel felt it staring right at him. It was pierced with needles and small bone fragments. The stench of death wafted from that very pot. Daniel backed away, limbs weak. What the hell is this? Why is Samantha worshipping this thing? Ring, 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 his phone rang suddenly in the silence, making Daniel jump and nearly drop the device. The screen lit up. The name displayed made his heart stop. "Big sister, Daniel." Tremblingly answered, pressing the phone to his ear. "Hello, hey, what are you doing, Daniel?" Samantha's voice rang out, but it wasn't her usual voice. It was deep, echoing, and strangely cold. It didn't sound like it was coming through a phone, but like a whisper from someone standing right behind him, breathing cold air onto his neck. "I'm sleeping," Daniel stammered a lie. "Sleeping? It's time for work. I've been looking for you," Samantha's voice remained monotone, emotionless, yet full of threat. "Yeah, I'm going to work right now." Daniel hurriedly hung up. He felt an extreme sense of danger. Samantha, or whatever was inhabiting her body, seemed to know everything. Daniel decided to take videos and photos of the entire bizarre altar as evidence. Returning to the hospital in a panic, Daniel found Helen, the janitor, and nurse Vanessa. When seeing the photos, Helen's face went pale. "Oh my God. This is raising a Kumanthong, a spirit doll. It's black magic for wealth," she exclaimed. Helen asked urgently, "Did Samantha suddenly have a lot of money recently?" Daniel recalled. "Yes, there was a time Samantha was strangely flush with cash. She bought designer clothes, expensive gifts for Mum and Daniel. Some days, she bought live chickens, slaughtering them herself to treat the family. When Mom asked where the money came from, Samantha just smiled and said David took care of it. Helen shook her head, looking grave. She feeds it with blood, son. This thing is evil. To know how to break the curse, I need to see that effigy in the clay pot with my own eyes. You have to go back and get it for me. Despite his extreme fear, wanting to save his sister, Daniel decided to return home one more time. It was late at night. The house was submerged in thick darkness. Daniel entered Samantha's room for the second time. The stench was now so overpowering it made him dizzy. The air in the room was heavy, as if thousands of invisible eyes were watching his every move. Daniel approached the wardrobe, reaching out to lift the clay pot. Suddenly, a gust of freezing wind blew past, extinguishing the candle he had just lit. A long, drawn-out sigh sounded right next to his ear. "What are you doing? What are you doing to my stuff?" Daniel spun around. Samantha, she was standing there, right at the door, blocking the exit. She had escaped the hospital. Her long hair hung down, covering half her face. Her visible eye bulged, the white veined with red blood vessels. She was no longer the sickly sister lying in the hospital bed. Samantha Daniel stepped back, tripping over the bed leg. Without a word, Samantha lunged at Daniel like a wounded wild beast. She growled, sharp nails clawing at his face and arms. Her strength had multiplied, frantic and brutal. Daniel tried to defend himself, but couldn't overpower her. In the chaotic struggle, Daniel slipped, his head slamming hard against the solid wood bed frame. Thud. Everything went black. As he drifted into unconsciousness, he heard manic cackling and the murmuring of many different voices, even though there were only two of them in the room. When Daniel groggily woke up, his head was splitting. He tried to move, but couldn't. His hands and feet were taped tightly to the bed legs. In front of him, in the dim light of a night lamp, Samantha was squatting before the altar. She was mumbling prayers, stroking the black effigy lovingly as a mother would caress a child. "Sis, I beg you let me go," Daniel pleaded, tears streaming. Samantha snapped her head around, a finger to her lips. "Shut up. Don't be loud, you'll startle the wealth deity. Mom is gone, no one is coming to save you. Are you really raising a ghost, Samantha? Wake up." Samantha sneered, a twisted smile stretching to her ears. "Who says I'm raising a ghost? I worship the wealth deity. Thanks to him, I have money. Look at them, Daniel. All my friends have big houses, cars, successful careers. And me, what do I have? Am I society's trash? I apply for jobs. Does any dog hire me? It's humiliating. I have to feed him. I must have money in her madness." Samantha spilled everything. The root of all tragedy was insecurity and the pressure to succeed. She had found black magic online, buying the effigy for a few $100s to pray for fortune. For the magic to work, she had to feed it fresh blood. At first, it was rat blood. She trapped rats, slit their throats, and poured the blood into the pot every night. Thanks to that, she found wallets, won the lottery. Greed took over, and she sank deeper into the mud of sin. Then she dragged David into it. David, initially skeptical, saw her winning money and blindly followed. But black magic always demands a price. Rat blood and chicken blood eventually lost their potency. Samantha started using her own blood. The jagged scars on her arms weren't from David's abuse. They were marks from when she slashed herself to sacrifice to the demon of greed. Suddenly, Samantha stopped laughing. She stared at Daniel. Her eyes lit up with a hungry, savage glint, like a predator spotting prey. Samantha grabbed a sharp Thai fruit knife from the altar and slowly advanced toward Daniel. "My blood is old. It's not potent anymore. The wealth? Deity rejects my blood," Samantha whispered, her voice raspy like metal grinding on metal. She leaned down, pressing the cold blade against Daniel's neck, inhaling his scent. "Your blood, your young, virgin blood. It's so fresh, so new. Just give me a little sip, Daniel. Pour it on this tree and the money will pour in. We'll change our lives. I'll take care of you. Take care of Mum, sis. Don't, Samantha, please." Daniel screamed, struggling in vain. "Don't scream. I'm just taking a little, like a blood test at the hospital. Be a good boy." The blade began to press harder into Daniel's skin. A stinging pain arrived. Blood began to trickle. The smell of copper stimulated Samantha's madness. She licked her lips, eyes rolling back. Crash! The bedroom door was kicked open. A figure rushed in like a hurricane. It was Duke, the security guard. Following him was Nurse Vanessa. Samantha was taken by surprise, screaming. Duke lunged, tackling her to the floor. Samantha thrashed wildly. Her strength at that moment was terrifying. She let out a heart-rending shriek, not sounding human but like a pig being slaughtered, echoing through the empty neighborhood in the dead of night. It took a long time, with the help of neighbors rushing over, to tie Samantha up and rush her to the ER. Samantha was taken to the intensive care unit and sedated heavily. Daniel sat dazed in the hospital corridor, his head bandaged, his mind blank. Nurse Vanessa sat beside him, placing a comforting hand on his shoulder. She showed Daniel the video she'd recorded of Samantha holding the knife, attempting to kill him. Vanessa revealed a shocking truth. The police are involved. They suspect this is a murder, not a suicide. The investigation results in the following days hit Daniel like a thunderbolt, exposing the entire charade. David was murdered. The autopsy showed water in his lungs, proving he drowned. But his stomach was full of high-dose sleeping pills. Samantha was the killer. The naked, brutal truth was laid bare. Samantha had stolen David's ID card to borrow money and gamble on shady websites. Debts piled up, interest compounding on interest. When David discovered Samantha was practicing black magic and cutting herself for blood, he was terrified and tried to stop her. David threatened to call the police and tell Samantha's family if she didn't stop. That threat touched Samantha's deepest fear and paranoia. In a drug-induced spiritual psychosis, she decided to silence him. She lured David to the riverbank for a meal, secretly spiking his water with potent sleeping pills. When David fell unconscious, Samantha coldly pushed her lover into the freezing water. Then she jumped in after him. She knew how to swim. She let herself drift, then pretended to struggle and scream for help so people would rescue her. She played the role of a survivor in a lover's suicide pact, escaping her debt and covering up a murder. Daniel shivered. His sister, the sister he once loved and respected, was a demon in human skin. At this moment, everything clicked for Daniel. The dream where he and his sister went to the temple and she was terrified to enter, that was David sending a vision, pointing Daniel to the truth. The puddle on the floor in chapter 2 that made Daniel slip. It was David deliberately stalling him so he would see the ghost of Dr. Vincent Koa, making him believe in the spiritual world. The spirit possessing Samantha screaming for prayers. It was David. David didn't want to hurt Samantha. He only wanted to hear the sutras to shed his resentment, borrowing Samantha's mouth to voice his injustice. The tears Daniel shed before the portrait, they were David's tears. Tears of betrayal, pain, but also forgiveness. The truth was clear before the law, but the tragedy of fate had not yet ended. Daniel sought out Helen, the janitor, to explain the whole story and to apologize to David's spirit on behalf of his sister. He told her about David's background. Monk Gabriel said David was an orphan. He found him in a cardboard box, drifting at the foot of a bridge, with a letter from his mother inside. Hearing the details, baby in a cardboard box at the foot of the bridge, Helen's face suddenly drained of color. Her eyes went wide, vacant. She asked tremblingly, "What did you say?" "Cardboard box. Foot of the bridge, a letter." Daniel nodded in confirmation. Helen clutched her chest and collapsed to the floor. A heart-wrenching wail erupted from the chest of the weathered woman. "Oh God, my son. It was my son." Daniel froze. A cruel, merciless truth was revealed. Helen, the woman who worked as a janitor and an amateur medium, the one who had used charms to suppress and capture David's spirit, was his biological mother. Years ago, due to a youthful mistake, poverty, and fear of public shame, she had heartlessly abandoned her newborn baby by the cold river. After abandoning him, she regretted it and went back to look, but the baby was gone. She thought her child had died or been washed away. She lived her whole life in torment and guilt. Who could have guessed the world was so round and karma so cyclical? That child was raised by the temple, only to die unjustly at the hands of another. And more painfully, she, his own mother, almost used black magic to harm her son's soul once again. Helen screamed in belated remorse. Her mournful crying echoed through the space, bringing tears to anyone who heard it. The story closes with the image of a dying incense stick on the altar. Smoke rises, carrying with it unfinished sorrows. Through the tragedy of the incense stick, we realize a chilling truth. In this chaotic mortal world, ghosts may be scary, and wandering spirits may cause shivers. But the most terrifying, cruelest, and coldest thing is the inner demon within each human heart. It is jealousy, bottomless greed, and cruelty that turn humans into monsters, pushing destinies into a cruel cycle with no escape. David was exonerated and his soul found peace. Samantha had to pay the price for her crimes and the torment of her conscience and the law. Helen lived the rest of her life with the pain of a mother who didn't recognize her own child. And Daniel learned the most expensive lesson about karma.